What's up, friends? It's time for another paint review. Today I'm testing out and trying the Rembrandt Luxury Pocket Box set of 12 watercolor paints. Rembrandt paints are made by Royal Talens. It's a Dutch company that's been around for over 125 years, so they really know their stuff. Previously, I reviewed a set of portrait colors by Rembrandt, and I absolutely love them. In fact, I've had to replace the cerulean a couple of times because I've used it so much. So I'm really excited about this set. It is in a plastic case, so when I take it out plein air painting later, I may need to modify it so that it sticks to my palette. But let's open it up and see what we've got. Currently, this set is $69.96 from Blick's website. That averages to just under $6 per half pan, which is pretty good for professional quality paint. So let's open up our pocket box and take a look. Rembrandt watercolors are known for their ultimate tinting strength and maximum pigmentation, highest degree of light fastness, and finest pigments in pure quality gum arabic. So that means the binder is gum arabic, which is the most commonly used binder for watercolors. Comes in this beautiful box. Ooh. I didn't expect that. In the picture, it looked like it was a white box, but it's actually a lovely black plastic cover. Okay, so it is white on the inside, so when you mix, you have these plastic mixing spaces that are slightly bowed. You can see there's a curved shape to it. And these are the 12 colors. Comes with this teeny tiny little brush, which I don't know if I will actually use that. It is pure red sable, so high quality bristles, but look at how tiny that is. Lately I've been trying to use slightly larger brushes, but if that's all you have, then that's what you work with. Okay, well, let's unwrap these, and we're going to do a couple of swatches before we head out into the wild and use these in a real life painting. Unwrapping each paint pan feels a little like opening Christmas presents. It's super satisfying and just exciting to see all these perfect, lovely little paint colors in pristine condition before I go in and inevitably start making a mess with them. Each paper wrapping has the pigment info labeled on it, so I make a swatch chart and include that information at the top of each swatch for future reference. 8 of the 12 colors are single pigment, and when I checked these on the Rembrandt website pigment database, all of the colors will stay light fast under museum conditions at least 100 years, so you will not need to worry about these colors fading anytime soon. The set includes 2 yellows, 2 reds, 2 blues, and it has 2 greens, the lovely single pigment Viridian, which is a great green for landscape painting because it's not too overpowering like phthalo green is, for example. The permanent green is a great convenience color, and I love this selection of earth tones, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and sepia, and Payne's gray is a great choice for a dark. The paints re-wet very easily. I chose to use the brush that comes with the set for the swatches just to try it out. I did have a whoopsie moment where it came apart and dropped into my water jar. So I learned you can't be too aggressive with this little brush. And it is a very good brush with nice natural hair bristles, even if it is super tiny. All told, these colors are gorgeous and exactly what I had hoped for in this set. Now, I would recommend, if you get a set like this, that you use double-sided tape or glue or something like that to fix the pans to the palette. They dump out very easily, which could be a problem if you're throwing your palette in a purse or a bag and you go to open it and they just all spill out. So to be safe, since there are no brackets holding them in, just tape or stick them down. The other modification I made was to add magnets to the bottom of the palette case. I used some Gorilla adhesive dots to attach some strips of magnets so that it sits more firmly on my easel. So with that, let's take this palette out into the wild. All right, I've got my stuff. I'm ready for a hike. I'm at South Boulder Creek West, one of the many trail systems here in Boulder. And check out this view. That's where we're headed. It's midday, which isn't the best time of day to go out and paint. Honestly, it's kind of glary and bright, but my kids are in school right now, so this is my time to go out and paint. Also, have a little bit of a cold now that they're back in school. Of course, they bring all the germs back with them, so I want to be outside and just getting some fresh air, and it is so beautiful. It's almost 80 degrees out. Stunning. I wandered quite a distance, probably a little over a mile, and I found this shady, gigantic cottonwood tree behind me that I'm going to set up my art supplies under, and it's a bit breezy, but this is the view I'm looking at. So of course now we have to narrow that down to something doable, but I'm excited to try out my new Rembrandt paints and put them into action. I use a viewfinder to check out different compositional possibilities before settling on a cropping. I'm using my Taylor Seamount bamboo plein air easel with a block of Arches 140-pound cotton cold pressed paper clipped to the board. I also have a pencil, paper towel, a water jar, and a few of my favorite silver black velvet brushes. I told myself I wanted to be kind of far away from people, and so far I've only seen like 2 people walk by, so not busy at all right now, which is lovely. You would think being a YouTuber I would be over the fear of people seeing me filming in public, but nope. I always start with a sketch, and for this scene I wanted to capture those gorgeous puffy clouds over the mountains, so the only thing I had to draw was the outline of the mountains and some of the rocks and trees. Well, now this is the fun part. I've already done swatches of all these colors, but now I get to actually use them in a painting. Whew. All right, so for plein air paintings I always start with the sky. I work background to foreground, and lucky me, I've got this gorgeous cerulean color on my palette that I think is just perfect for the sky color today. The clouds are painted using both wet and wet and wet and dry. I do quite a bit of softening along the edges, borrowing from shapes I see anywhere in the sky, not necessarily just copying what's in front of me. I don't have a violet on this palette, and I haven't played around with mixing one yet. So let's try this madder red color with ultramarine. These are the 2 closest colors to each other on the color wheel on my palette too. So yeah, they're making a nice violet. That'll do. My only concern is not having enough paint mixed up. That seems to happen to me a lot because I always misjudge that. So if that happens to you too, mix more than you think you need. I paint the line of the mountains with my purple mix here, trying to maintain a nice beaded edge there so that the flat wash works its way down. You can use gravity to your advantage when you're working with flat washes like this. For these dark trees, let's add a hint of that warm yellow, the azo yellow, I believe. For your base washes like this, try to work quickly. For the freshest look, it's best to apply paint wet next to wet so that those colors blend naturally on the page. Already my paper is dried. I'm going to be getting some hard edges in spite of my best efforts. That's one of the challenges of painting outside in Colorado. Okay, that's all right. So let's grab some yellow ochre. Great color here. Touch that to that blue-green. It's okay to keep this nice and vibrant and bright. Take some of that azo yellow too for even more of a pop of color. Let's try this permanent green. Oh yeah, throw some of that into the foreground. These are fabulous colors. They go on buttery smooth. Just adjusting my clips as I go. And I'm going to leave some of the white of the paper, kind of hinting at some foliage in the foreground. I actually really like these blooms that are forming right here. Those look pretty cool. Now the mountain, I know it looked so dark when we first blocked it in, but I'm actually really happy with that wash. I think it's kind of the perfect purple. I do a second wash over the clouds so that I can drop in some shadows wet into wet using Payne's Gray. I use water to pre-wet the cloud shapes first before going in with pigment, rinsing, blotting, softening, and manipulating edges until I get the shapes and values that I want. This is a delicate balance because I don't want to overwork the clouds, which I tend to do a lot, and as I approach the mountains, I want to be careful not to outline it all, but rather blend color into color to prevent hard edges. Now for the trees on the mountains, Payne's Gray is a good choice for these. I need to load my brush up with paint in a milky consistency. It has to be wet enough so that it will flow smoothly across the dry textured paper, but also pigmented enough to represent those dark intersecting shapes. Tree shapes in between, and trying to make sense of it all and keep track of those shapes is a little tricky, but just doing my best. This is the area of the painting where I spend the most time, constantly looking back and forth between the scene in front of me and my painting. Okay, so I'm taking a little of my bright red and that warm yellow and adding some upstrokes with this flat brush, I think is actually quite nice. It's also lending me some much needed verticals. That's one of those rules of composition or best practices, is to try to incorporate angles, horizontals, and verticals. All right, we'll stop there. There's my finished painting of the flat irons. All right, some final thoughts on this luxury pocket box set. I love the color choices. The quality of the paint is excellent, just all around awesome paint. I don't love the plastic case design. Even though it's sleek and attractive, it still doesn't have the same simplicity or just ease of use that a metal tin has for me, especially since I tend to use pan paints mainly for plein air painting. So if you like working with pan paints but you don't necessarily need to travel with them, this is a great choice. For me, I will most likely grab a metal tin set or just move these colors into a different, more practical container. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed my review. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know if you've tried Rembrandt paints, and if so, what are your thoughts? Thanks for joining me today.